Oh my goodness, a 30% attack boost on top of a 15% crit rate, and not to mention the 6% final damage dealt bonus. And I'm going to show you how to get a shell like this. Hey everyone, TimaeuSS here, welcome to another Etheria restart video, and today we are going to go over everything you need to know about the shells, okay? Because this is one of the areas where everyone can essentially farm and improve and guarantee some juicy upgrades, because yes, not a lot of people understand how significant the shell is. If you played other games, this is like your signature weapon, alright? In other games, you have to roll for these. But in Etheria Restart, you can actually farm it, so it's even more insane that we get access to this by just farming stages. Now, a couple of things here. Shells, similar to modules, have different and varying rarities, okay? And of course, the higher the rarity, the stronger they are. Starting out, I think there's the blue ones as well, and then going into purple, which are the uniques, and then they should be the epic ones in the yellow ones, and of course the highest is going to be your mythics. So just know that if we take a look at level 40 epic one, the stats 486 is the attack, but 540 is the attack for a mythic one. Okay, so as you're progressing through, Fabian is going to be the place where you're farming a lot of these epic ones starting out, and then you should be having your main team equipped with a fully awakened set of bees, a black flag, diamond heart, and then when you are level 35, you can move on to farming some of these mythics in Nico Nana, which I've released a video about with regards to very easily accessible teams. Now, looking at what is available to us right now, okay, you've got your shells, and it's very important that you upgrade, because the difference between a level 1 of the same shell, look at this, 56 attack and 3 speed versus this, right? It's 10 times stronger once you upgrade it, and it's very easy to upgrade. So I just switched to another one. And if you take a look at Empower, these are training data that of course you obtain from farming the shell stages, and trust me, you are going to run out. So a lot of times, especially when Fabian unlocks, you're just going to sit there until you've got your main team set of shells, and now Nico not unlocked for us, we can sit there for a very long time. So upgrading this to level 10 allows you to essentially use the same shells as dupes. So here we go, we got level 10, and if you use a dupe, for example, we have a Bramble Bloodbath, I'll probably save, let's just say a Strive Time Weave, because we have one that is better, 3 of the Strive and 2 of the Time Weave, where this is 2 of the Strive and 2 of the Time Weave as the subs. So we'll ascend, and once you ascend, you gain stats and you limit break this, and now you can push this even further, and each time you ascend you get this passive effect. So let's talk about it, because a lot of the people don't know that the bulk of the upgrades, the RNG part, is going to be the passive. Okay, so there are 2 things you want to look out in terms of the passive. First of all, which slot are you looking for in terms of reroll, because each slot has different stats that can give. Make sure you click on the information icon here, okay, and you can see that there is a range as well. So if we take a look at my attack, all right, the attack percentage at the red, which is the highest rarity mythic basically, can still have a range of 24 to 30. So I got 30%, which is the absolute highest value this can give. But there is also the penetration, which gives crit rate, and I got 15%. So slot 2, I can see that if we just look at the crit rate, 15% is the lowest of the red, but still very high in comparison to any other rarities. So making sure that you are re-rolling the correct passive in the correct slot is the start, because for example, I want attack, but I cannot get it in the second slot, right? There's no attack here, only speed, crit damage, crit rate, and yeah, other things. So you cannot get attack here, so don't keep rolling just because you want attack. And if you're empowering, you are able to use reconfigure, right? And when you click on reconfigure, this will give you a random passive effect, and if it's one to your liking, then of course you can replace whatever is here. And this is going to consume quite a lot of these training data, but also it's going to consume the reconfiguration chips. Now, to get more reconfiguration chips, you actually have to recycle. So here we go, if we just jump into the tab and then go into your inventory, you will be able to see that your shells can indeed be recycled, just like your modules. And when you recycle them like this, it gives you some of these reconfiguration chips, all right? And that is how you are going to reroll the passive. That is the RNG side of things. And speaking of RNG, there is one more layer of RNG, but the game addressed this quite well. You can see that my current Wi-Fi, even though the passives are perfect pretty much, I have 2 of these weapon matrices, and I only have 1 symbol of the onslaught but 3 of the fury. Now what I want is most likely 3 onslaught, 3 fury, and later on I want more here, and that unlocks in the next difficulty of Nikonana. But 3 sets of 3 allows you to run 12, 8, and I believe 6 as well. So that is definitely what you want to aim for in terms of late game. But in this is so great, the system has an inherit option. So for example, let's say I get the correct subsets for my White Fang that I farm in the future, but instead of trying to reroll something that is the same as how broken this one is, I can just imprint this. And when I imprint, all of the levels, all of the limit break stars, and all the passives gets moved to the current shell. The only thing I'll keep is essentially these 2 in terms of the matrix activated. Okay, so this is really nice, because what that means is that you can just level up something like this, which I'm doing right now, and this can be moved to another shell once you're done. Alright, so that's why shell is so good, because you can always inherit and have your best shell in terms of passives, in terms of the correct matrix, and everything else you need. And not to mention the stat here is going to be guaranteed. Alright, so that is super important. You definitely want to have your main set of team characters on shell. So Black Flag, for example, Gigabyte and with the max, the healing stuff. But yes, having these shells maxed, get a stat gives and the passive it gives are a huge boost to your team. So whenever in doubt, make sure that you are farming shells and make sure that your team has a set of at least 5, because a lot of content are going to be 5 units, right? So make sure that your shell gets farmed is super important. And you can always, you know, take them off, put it in other characters. Moving gear and moving shell in this game does not cost any currency, so you can always move them around to ensure you have the best loadout possible. But yeah, that's quickly going over the shell guide. Now, personally, making sure that you know, for the attackers, slot 1 is going to be most likely your attack, and percentage is just so much better than the flat attack. And then slot 2, you either go for the crit rate or you go for the crit damage. It really depends on your gear. If you went for the crit rate and you got attack in the slot 1, that means you can most likely run 2 crit damage items, gears or modules on your right side. And then for the supports, you can go for speed. 20 speed on the maximum reroll is absolutely insane. And slot 3, it depends on what type of character you are. You can see that there is element specific, so you can roll a 12% final damage boost, which is insane. And also it has a more generic one if you're starting to if you want to move these, because you can get an 8% final damage dealt, and this applies to non-element specific damage. So yeah, overall really crazy. All right, this shell system is awesome. I personally like it very much, because yeah, you can just farm it and you're pretty much guaranteed steadily upgrades into stats. And as you're rerolling passives, it's good to see that there's a bit of RNG involved as well, so you can constantly improve. Anyhow, let me know your thoughts and how your shell farm is going. And it's TimaeuSS here, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye now.